The massive alien ships floated in the darkness of space like enormous sleeping monsters. Their metal sides glowed with a strange light that made Earth's moon look pale and weak. Admiral Kim Taho stood on the bridge of the space station, watching. The 12 ships of the Zephyrian Collective stay perfectly still beyond Mars. "Sir, they're sending us another message," said Lieutenant Park Min-ho. His voice shook, even though they had been getting these messages for 3 days. Now, the blue light in the room flickered and suddenly showed the face of Ambassador Veltar, the alien leader who had been talking to Earth. He looked almost like a human, but his eyes had silver spots in them, and his mouth moved strangely when he talked. "Hello, people of Earth," Veltar said in his smooth, sweet voice that had made world leaders listen carefully for days. "We bring you the gift of peace. We want your people to join our great space civilization. You don't have to be alone in the dark anymore." Down on Earth, President Lee Dong-wook sat in a big meeting room with leaders from every important country. Aliens were offering amazing things. They said they could cure cancer, give unlimited clean energy, and share technology that would let humans travel to other planets immediately. "The collective has brought peace to over 300 worlds." Veltar continued talking. "We want to give the same to Earth. Join us, and your people will be rich and happy beyond your dreams. All we ask is that you trust us and sign our simple membership agreement." Dr. Choi Hai-jin was Earth's top scientist who studied aliens. She watched Veltar's face carefully and felt worried. Something was wrong with the way his eyes never looked directly at the camera. When he said the word trust, his jaw muscles got tight. These small things made alarm bells ring in her mind. "Their ships could blow us up in minutes," whispered Defense Minister Yoon Jae-soon. "Do we really have any choice?" But Captain Song Yuri, who commanded Earth's small space fleet, had spent years learning to read hidden meanings in what diplomats said. "They've been here for 3 days," she said. "Quietly, if they wanted to destroy us, why didn't they do it already? Why do they need us to say yes?" The message ended with Veltar's final words. "We'll wait for your answer, dear friends of Earth, but please, don't make us wait too long. The galaxy is huge, and there are many other worlds that would be happy to accept our help." When the blue light disappeared, the room became completely quiet. Outside, the alien ships continued to wait, beautiful and frightening at the same time. They seemed to promise either salvation or destruction. President Lee looked around the table at the worried faces of world leaders. Some of them seemed excited about the aliens' offer. The technology they promised could solve every problem on Earth. No more hunger, no more disease, no more energy shortages. It sounded too good to be true. "What do we know about these other 300 worlds they mentioned?" asked the president of France. "That's the problem," replied Dr. Choi. "We don't know anything about them. The aliens haven't let us contact any of these worlds directly. They just tell us that everyone is happy and peaceful." Admiral Kim Tae-ho had been quiet during the meeting, but now he spoke up. "In my military experience, when someone offers you everything you want and asks for nothing in return, you should be very suspicious." The Chinese representative nodded. "And why the rush? If this is such a wonderful opportunity, why can't we take time to think about it properly?" Captain Song pulled up a star map on the big screen. "Look at this. Their ships are positioned perfectly to block our escape routes to other star systems. That's not the formation of peaceful visitors. That's the formation of a military force, preparing to attack. They haven't attacked," pointed out the British Prime Minister. "They've been completely peaceful, so they don't need to attack," Song replied. "They're waiting for us to give them what they want voluntarily. Question is, what do they really want?" Dr. Choi had been studying the aliens' body language and speech patterns. "I've been analyzing their communications.
Ow.
There are small inconsistencies in their language. Words that don't quite mean what they seem to mean. And Veltar shows signs of deception every time he talks about the benefits of joining them." "So what are you saying?" asked President Lee. "I'm saying we need to be very careful. This might not be the generous offer it appears to be." As the meeting continued, the 12 alien ships waited patiently in space.
Oh.
Their hulls gleamed with that strange light, and their perfect formation never wavered. They looked like predators waiting for their prey to make the first move inside the ships. Ambassador Veltar turned to his military commander. "How much longer do we wait?" the commander asked.
"Not much longer,"
Veltar replied, his diplomatic smile fading. "If they refuse our generous offer, we'll have to take what we came for by force. But it's always easier when they surrender willingly." Fate of Earth hung in the balance. Humanity didn't even know they were already being hunted. 3 weeks had passed since the alien ships arrived. And finally, the treaty papers had been sent to Earth's governments. Dr. Han So-young, a language teacher who now studied alien words, sat in her small office at Seoul University. Papers with alien writing were spread everywhere around her desk. "The word order is wrong," she said quietly, marking another part with her pen. Her student helper, Kim Minesio, looked up from her own pile of papers. "What do you mean, Professor?" "At this word here, they say citizens of the collective. But in their language, the word they use doesn't really mean citizen like we think. It's more like a thing that is owned, or a resource that is used." Far away in America, Colonel Jo Sung-min was looking at the military parts of the treaty. At first, what the aliens wanted seemed fair. They wanted Earth to get rid of all nuclear weapons, take down space defense systems, and let the collective watch over Earth's armies. "It's the same thing every time," he told his team of intelligence officers. "I've been studying every species that joined the collective. The Altarians, the vegan colonies, the Centauri Federation. They all did exactly the same things. First, they gave up their weapons. Then their governments became helpers to collective bosses. In just 1 generation, they were all just places to dig up resources." Lieutenant Commander Park Yoon-ji, Earth's best military planner, showed pictures on the big screen that displayed how the collective had grown bigger over time. "Look at this schedule. Every species that joined them lost their own military within 5 years. Their people were moved to special living areas, while their home planets were completely mined out. Back in Seoul, Dr. Han had found something even more scary. Minesio, look at this communication data. The aliens aren't just talking. To us, they're sending regular reports to someone else. The way they write suggests they're giving updates on something they call a harvesting operation." As reports from scientists around the world started to show the same scary pattern, President Lee called an emergency meeting of the Global Defense Council. The proof was getting stronger that the collective's offer of peace was really just a big trap. "They're not offering us membership," Dr. Han explained to the world leaders through video call. "They're offering us the same deal they gave 300 other worlds. And based on the messages we've intercepted, every single one of those worlds is now a slave colony." The room became completely quiet as everyone understood what this meant. Earth wasn't being invited to join a space civilization. It was being prepared to be taken over. Dr. Han continued explaining her discoveries. "I've been studying their language patterns for weeks now. Every time they talk about benefits and prosperity, they use words that actually mean control and exploitation in their real language. When they say guidance, they mean domination." Colonel Jo pulled up more data on his screen. Look at this military analysis. Every species that joined them had their population reduced by 60% within the first decade. The official reports say it was due to voluntary relocation to better worlds, but the communication intercepts tell a different story. "What kind of different story?" asked the German chancellor. "Mass deportation to labor camps on asteroid mining stations. The collective doesn't want partners. They want workers they don't have to pay." Park Chunji added more disturbing information. "Their current ship positions aren't random either. They're slowly moving closer to Earth, and they're positioned to block any escape routes we might try to use. This isn't a diplomatic mission. It's a military occupation that just hasn't started yet." Dr. Han pulled up more language analysis. The most telling part is in their internal communications. They refer to Earth as Target 301 and humans as Resource Species 7742. "We're not potential citizens to them. We're just another resource to be harvested." The weight of this information fell on everyone in the room like a heavy blanket. President Lee looked around at the faces of world leaders, all showing the same expression of fear and anger. "So what do we do?" asked President Lee. "We can't fight them directly. Their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours. Their ships could destroy our entire planet in minutes. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. The truth. Now, but nobody knew what to do about it. How do you fight an enemy that's so much stronger than you? It was General Huang Qite who spoke up from the back of the room. His voice was calm, but determined. Then we don't fight them directly. We make them think we're going along with their plan while we prepare for what's really coming. Pretend to agree while secretly getting ready to fight, asked the Japanese Prime Minister. Exactly. They expect us to be stupid and trusting. Let's use that against them. If they think we're weak and naive, they won't be watching for us to prepare defenses. Dr. Han nodded slowly. It could work. Their communications show they're overconfident. They think humans are just another primitive species that will surrender easily. Then let's prove them wrong, said President Lee grimly. The answer came from a place nobody expected, regular people on Earth, while world leaders held secret meetings. Ordinary citizens started to figure out what the aliens really wanted. Social media websites filled up with people sharing their ideas, theories, and most importantly, ways to fight back. Engineer Nam Hyun-woo worked at a shipyard in Busan, South Korea. He couldn't sleep one night, so he stayed up doing math calculations. At 3 in the morning, he made a video and posted it online. His message was simple. If these aliens are so smart and powerful, why do they need us to say yes? And why are they in such a hurry to get our answer? Within just a few hours, millions of people had watched and shared his video, at the most. The important person who saw it was Dr. Lim Yanzuk, who was in charge of the Global Space Manufacturing Initiative. She understood right away what Nam's video really meant. We need to build weapons that they can't see or detect, she told her. Team during an emergency meeting? But we can't build them in normal military places. We need to hide what we're doing so they won't notice. The plan they came up with was brilliant because it was so simple. The aliens had given Earth some of their advanced manufacturing techniques. As a gift to show their friendship, Earth would use these same techniques to quickly build more mining operations and construction projects in space. What the aliens wouldn't know was that every new mining platform, every orbital factory, and every space station that looked peaceful was actually a hidden weapon system. Dr. Lim worked with her team day and night to figure out how to make normal-looking space equipment into secret weapons. A solar panel array can be turned into a focused laser beam, she explained to her engineers. Mining equipment that shoots rocks can shoot them fast enough to destroy alien ships. Communication dishes can create electromagnetic pulses that will scramble their electronics. Technical Sergeant Kong Taejin was an expert at making weapons that looked like something else. He worked around the clock to develop what he called dual-purpose infrastructure. Everything would have 2 uses, one that looked innocent and one that could fight the aliens. The beauty of this plan, Kong explained to his team, is that they're watching us build these things and they think, we're just following their advice to modernize our space industry. They have no idea we're preparing for war. Meanwhile, in a basement laboratory in Seoul, physicist Dr. Baek Jun-ho was working on humanity's secret weapon. He had been studying the alien technology samples that had been accidentally left behind during their visits. He found something very important about how their systems worked. Their entire fleet works like one big connected computer, he explained to his research team. All their ships talk to each other instantly, using quantum communication. If we can break that communication, their biggest strength becomes their biggest weakness. Dr. Baek discovered that the aliens were so dependent on their instant communication system that they couldn't function properly without it. It's like they're all connected to the same internet, he said. If we can crash their internet, they won't be able to coordinate their attacks. The best part of the plan was that no single government or military group was in control. Instead, thousands of civilian contractors, military units, and volunteer groups worked on different parts of the project. To anyone watching from the outside, including the alien surveillance systems, it just looked like Earth was rapidly improving its space-based industry. Captain Seo Ji-hoon now commanded what appeared to be a simple mining station called New Seoul Mining Station. But he and his crew were actually testing disguised weapons systems. When they practiced mining operations on asteroids, They were really practicing target shooting with weapons that could punch holes through alien ship hulls. "Every day we get better at this," Captain SEO told his crew. "The aliens think we're just digging up rocks, but we're actually learning how to fight a space war." All around the solar system, similar preparations were happening. The Martian solar array looked like a peaceful energy collection system, but it could focus its collectors into a deadly beam. The Asteroid Belt Research Station appeared to be studying space rocks, but it was actually a weapons platform with enough firepower to destroy an entire alien fleet. As the days passed, the aliens became more impatient. Ambassador Veltar's messages became more frequent and less friendly. "The Collective Council is worried about Earth's delays," he warned in his latest transmission. "Such a simple decision shouldn't take so long to make." President Lee, now fully committed to the secret plan, responded with what seemed like surrender. "We are honored by the Collective's generous offer, and we formally accept membership. We look forward to the treaty signing ceremony aboard your ship." What Veltar didn't know was that every human who would board his ship for the ceremony was carrying a small device designed to disrupt quantum communication networks. And hidden throughout the solar system, hundreds of disguised weapons platforms were powering up for the first time, their crews ready to prove that sometimes the best way to fight advanced technology is with good old-fashioned human creativity and determination. The trap was set, and humanity was ready to spring it. The day of the treaty signing was bright and cold. President Lee Dong-wook stood on the shuttle launching pad, with representatives from every important country standing beside him. Each person carried a small device, about the size of a phone, hidden inside their fancy diplomatic briefcases. "Remember," whispered Dr. Baek Junho, who was pretending to be a technical helper. "The moment they showed their true plans, turn on the devices at the same time. The quantum disruption will spread through their entire communication system." Alien flagship called the Eternal Harmony was amazing to see. Its hallways were covered with what looked like living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Ambassador Veltar met the human group with fancy ceremony, silver eyes shining with what Earth's leaders now knew was excitement rather than kindness. "Today marks a wonderful new beginning in galactic history," Veltar announced as they walked into the huge signing room. "Earth joins the ranks of the enlightened species." But as President Lee walked toward the beautiful signing table, his earpiece began crackling with urgent messages from Earth. "Sir, collective forces are moving into position around major cities. They're not waiting for the treaty to be signed." Colonel Jo Sungmin, watching from the orbital defense station, saw with horror as alien ships began sending down what could only be invasion forces. "They're not even trying to hide it anymore," he reported through his radio. "Landing ships are heading for Seoul, New York, London, and Moscow." President Lee kept walking toward the signing table, but his heart was pounding. The aliens had revealed their true plan too early. They weren't waiting for the treaty to be signed before they started their invasion. "What's happening down there?" President Lee asked quietly into his hidden microphone. "Alien troops are landing in major cities," came the reply from Earth. "They're setting up what looks like control centers. People are being told to stay in their homes." Ambassador Veltar seemed to notice that something was wrong. His diplomatic smile became wider, but his eyes grew colder. "Is there a problem?" "President Lee, you seem distracted." "Not at all," President Lee replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm just thinking about what an important moment this is for humanity." But inside the alien ship, other members of the human delegation were hearing the same terrible reports. The French president whispered to her aide, "They're not even pretending anymore. This is a military occupation." The German chancellor received a message that alien forces had surrounded the United Nations building in New York. The British Prime Minister learned that similar scenes were happening in London, with alien soldiers setting up checkpoints on major streets. Ambassador Veltar walked to the center of the room and raised his hands for attention. "Before we sign this historic treaty, I have a small announcement to make." His voice had changed. The honey-sweet tone was gone, replaced by something cold and commanding. "I'm afraid there has been a slight change to the treaty terms, Veltar," said his diplomatic mask finally dropping completely. "Earth's population will need to be relocated to special residential areas while we begin resource extraction operations. Your cooperation is no longer optional." At that moment, screens around the room lit up, showing scenes from Earth. Alien ships were landing in major cities around the world. Soldiers in strange armor were marching through streets. People were running in panic as loudspeakers announced that all humans must report to processing centers. "You see," Veltar continued, his voice now openly threatening, "we tried to do this the easy way. We offered you a peaceful transition. But whether you sign this treaty or not, Earth now belongs to the collective." The human delegates looked at each other in carefully controlled panic. This was the moment they had been preparing for. President Lee touched his briefcase and spoke calmly into his hidden microphone. "Prometheus has come to steal fire from the gods." Those words were the signal Earth had been waiting for. Every human delegate reached into their briefcases and activated their small devices at exactly the same time. The quantum disruption technology that Dr. Beak had developed began its work. Immediately, throughout the alien flagship, systems began to fail as their quantum communication network started to break down. The lights flickered. Living crystal walls began to pulse erratically. Veltar's confident expression changed to confusion, and then to fear as he realized something was very wrong. "What have you done?" he demanded, but his voice was now shaking. In space around Earth, the real battle was beginning. The mining platforms and space stations that had looked so peaceful suddenly revealed their true nature. The new Sol mining station rotated and began firing tungsten rods at the nearest alien ship. The Martian solar array focused its energy collectors into a deadly beam that cut through an alien destroyer. Captain Seal. Juhoon's voice crackled over the communication channels, all hidden weapons platforms. "This is Firebase Alpha. Execute Operation Prometheus. Show these aliens what happens when they try to enslave humanity." The collective's technological superiority suddenly became their weakness. Their ships, designed to scare primitive species into giving up, were not prepared for coordinated resistance. From weapons they hadn't detected, the trap had been sprung. Humanity was fighting back. The message that Earth sent out to the galaxy was simple but powerful. Dr. Han So-young, now known as humanity's best expert on alien communications, had spent weeks preparing the transmission in 17 different alien languages. To all species under collective rule, her voice traveled across the galaxy. "We are humanity of Earth. We have broken their lie of peaceful integration. The collective are not kind shepherds. They are parasites who feed on the freedom of entire civilizations." Along with her message, Earth sent detailed information about the collective's true nature, their patterns of conquest, and most importantly, the technical instructions for the quantum disruption technology that had destroyed their fleet. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, rebellions started across collective space as oppressed species realized they had been living under a carefully built lie. The Altarians, who were the first to join the collective centuries ago, were also the first to break free. Using humanity's quantum disruption technology to take back their homeworld, on Earth, the cleanup was beginning. Admiral Kim Taho stood on the bridge of the captured alien flagship, now renamed the Soul's Revenge. The ship's systems had been completely studied and copied by teams led by Dr. Baek Joon-ho, giving humanity real faster-than-light travel and communication for the first time. Status report Admiral Kim requested from his officers. "Collective resistance has collapsed in this sector," reported Captain Song Yuri, who now commanded Earth's rapidly growing space fleet. 7 more species have declared independence using our quantum disruption technology. The vegan colonies have invited us to establish a joint embassy. The victory had come at a cost that weighed heavily on Earth's leaders. Ow. President Lee stood in the memorial garden outside the Global Defense Council building, reading the names of those who had died during the brief but brutal battle. Over 12,000 people had been lost when the collective's orbital bombardment struck major cities before their communications could be fully disrupted. "Was it worth it?" asked Dr. Choi Hyjin, joining him at the memorial wall. "Ask me in." 100 years, Lee replied quietly. "When human children are exploring the galaxy as free beings instead of as slaves." But the real measure of humanity's victory wasn't in the technology they had captured or the territory they had gained. It was in the choice they had made to fight for genuine freedom rather than accept comfortable slavery. The collective had offered them peace, but it would have been the peace of the grave. The silence of a species that had forgotten how to think. For itself, engineer Nam Haeonwoo, whose late-night video had started the resistance movement, had directed the construction of humanity's first interstellar colony ship. Unlike the collective's vessels, it carried no weapons of conquest. Only the tools of creation and a message of genuine partnership to any species willing to meet as equals. "We're not going out there to build an empire," explained Captain Kong. Taijin to his crew, as they prepared the ship, New Horizon for its first voyage to the Proxima Centauri system. "We're going to prove that cooperation is stronger than domination, that freedom is worth more than security." The news from across the galaxy continued to be encouraging. The Centauri Federation had overthrown their collective overlords and was now helping other species do the same. The vegan colonies had established the first free trade network in centuries. Even some of the collective's own member species were beginning to question their loyalty. Dr. Han continued to monitor alien communications from her expanded facility in Seoul. "The collective's central government is in chaos," she reported to the Global Defense Council. Their entire system was built on the assumption that no species would ever successfully resist them. Now that one has. Their whole structure is falling apart. The most important development came from the liberated Altarian homeworld. Their scientists had been secretly working on improvements to humanity's quantum disruption technology. "We found a way to make the disruption permanent," the Altarian ambassador announced during a video conference with Earth's leaders. "Any ship that tries to use the old collective communication systems will be automatically cut off from the network." This meant that even if the collective tried to rebuild their empire, they would never again be able to coordinate their forces. Effectively, the age of their galactic domination was truly over. As the months passed, Earth became the unofficial capital of what people were calling the Free Galaxy Alliance. Representatives from dozens of liberated worlds came to establish embassies and trade agreements. But humanity was careful not to repeat the collective's mistakes. "We offer no easy answers, no promise of paradise," President Lee said in his address to the newly formed Galactic Council. "We offer only the chance to stand together as equals, to build something better than what came before." The final transmission from Earth to the galaxy was not a threat or a boast, but a simple invitation to all free species. To all those who would be free, humanity extends its hand in friendship. "We don't promise you wealth or power. We promise you the right to choose your own destiny." The collective survivors retreated to the galactic core, their empire crumbling as world after world chose the difficult path of freedom over the easy path of servitude. And in the space where their threatening fleet had once waited, Earth's children looked up at the stars, not as subjects of a galactic empire, but as free beings ready to write their own destiny among the cosmos. They had been offered peace, but Earth had seen the trap in every word and chosen to fight for something better.